Peace and blessings, everyone. So, I've learned that in my life, 95% of the time, it's not my place to teach somebody a lesson. Regardless if I love them, if I like them, or I dislike them. And that 5% that I'm giving myself, where I can teach somebody a lesson, it's still a choice. And maybe majority of the times I won't even choose to do that. It really has to be out of pure love to teach somebody a lesson. I just have to have that kind of relationship with that person in the first place. So remember that the next time you feel like you know better and you want to, teach somebody a lesson. Because where that person is at, whoever you're caring for, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with caring. There's nothing wrong with teaching somebody a lesson, because ultimately you're going to be teaching yourself a lesson. You're going to have to learn that there's ways to go about things. And the biggest thing that you can do is just be an example. Being an example takes it way further, because at that point, you're allowing somebody to do the work themselves. They'll see this example, whether it be yourself, another person. Well, we're really talking about ourselves here and our personal power. But when a person sees you and you embody a truth that you stand by, they'll be able to do the work themselves, and they'll be able to calculate all the harsh truths on their own. And like I said, it's not like there's never a place and time to be that person, but really make sure you're coming from a loving space. A completely loving space. It could be your brother, sister, best friend, lover, whomever. Well, in an intimate relationship, that's just a sticky situation, because if you're sharing energy with this person, you would want them to be at the level that you're at. But sometimes you don't need to be exactly the same. I think most of us realize that and know that. But more so, I'm speaking of a situation that might be lowering their vibration, and it's now affecting you. That would be a very valid moment when you would want to teach them a lesson or put them on to something. And hey, it's just karma. Like, you don't know, you know what you did to get yourself in that situation. And you don't know what twists and turns it's going to take to get yourself out of it. And sometimes it's not always the direct, hey, you're doing this wrong. Because are they really doing it wrong? We're our own individuals, and being in relationships is deep stuff. It's deep stuff. So, don't take it for granted, but at the same time, tread lightly. Because when you're making these contracts with people, you're making contracts with what they've embodied thus far. And, if you have to back out of that because they're not vibrating high enough, that's just what it is. But make sure you're making the right decision, because sometimes it's not like things aren't always as they appear. I realized that in my past relationships where, I would think that my partner wasn't doing something right, but ultimately, deep down inside, I actually just didn't want to be with that person. And so I would find excuses of what was holding us back. And ultimately, like I said, it was just me not wanting to be in that relationship. So don't confuse yourself about maybe they could, get a better job, or maybe, they could be eating better, or pick up this habit, or do things more like me, basically. And sometimes that's not it. Sometimes that's just the excuses we're creating because we don't want to be in a relationship. And I understand that some people have children, some people have built all these houses of cards, on their relationships. But if it needs to fall, let it fall. You're way better off in that rugged position that we're all dreading when you leave a relationship, rather than being there for an extra 5-10 years and then still needing to make that decision furthermore. So let the scab heal. It might feel like you have to rip the scab off. The wound gets hit. Ouch. Scab comes off. But hey, if that has to happen, it has to happen. Peace and blessings.